Welcome to the Metaverse Academy live stream. Last week we talked about learning in the Metaverse. Today I'm honored to welcome Kevin Hess and discuss the novels he illustrated using AI. He was the first one to publish a book using this technique. Kevin is an IT professional from Vermont, Washington in the United States, living in Poland, and a science fiction fan. Welcome, Kevin. Please introduce yourself and explain a little bit who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name's Kevin. A little while ago, I discovered Midjourney for the first time. And, before that, I messed around with, what's the name of that one? Not DALL-E, Wombo. And it was fascinating. It wasn't very good. And this was only a couple, 4, 5, 6 months ago. But when I discovered Midjourney and started playing around with it, I realized that it was powerful enough to do something, right? The problem was that I didn't have any stories that I wanted to tell of my own. It seems like everybody that, as soon as they were getting the hang of it, they were trying to use artificial intelligence and these tools to illustrate the graphic novels that they always wanted to write. It's like, I can finally do it. I don't know how to draw, but I can finally, tell this story that's been in my head for 20 years. Well, I didn't have one of those. I mean, I already wrote a novel and that was a lot of work and that's not for me. So I started thinking like, well, what else can I do with this? What else is there to do? What's something that nobody's doing, And as it happened, Last and First Men and Star Maker are my 2 favorite novels. So if I say anything that remotely sounds like I'm criticizing it, it's from a position of love, okay? Because they're not perfect, but they're the best novels I've ever read. And I've been trying to get people to read these for 15 years probably, ever since I discovered them. Last and First Men's written in 1930. Star Maker was written in 1937. To give the viewers kind of an idea of what they're about, Last and First Men starts at the fictional end of the First World War, and it goes on for 2 billion years afterward. Through the various different iterations of humanity and the eventual destruction of the Earth and the flight to a terraformed Venus, and then the supernova of the sun that causes them to flee to Neptune. It's a fascinating story from any decade, but especially more so that it was written in 1930. It blew my mind. So that was how I learned about Stapleton in the first place. I found out about this book and I had to rush out immediately and go get it. And it's interesting. And then after that, I discovered, very quickly after that, I discovered Star Maker and read that too. And after that, I quit reading books because there just wasn't any point. So these books are pretty important to me in terms of, my respect for the craft that went into them and the power of imagination that Stapleton had. I've been described as a science fiction fan, but I'm not really. I don't read a lot of science fiction. I don't, I don't watch science fiction movies. I don't read it, but Star Maker and Last and First Men were so fascinating to me that, I really, I had to do, something to bring that to other people. And then when I found out about Midjourney and how powerful it was and how quickly it could work, and I thought, well, what if I just illustrated the whole thing and turned it into a graphic novel? And so I started with Star Maker because that's my number 1 book, and then and it was shorter. It's only 55,000 words. Last and First Men is over 115,000. So, so that was how I got started on it, and I spent probably a month working on it, all day, every day, or at least as much as I could. And that was that. And, I put it up on Reddit and, it got a pretty positive reaction from people. And, it's both of these books, particularly Star Maker, are like, if you know about them, you probably really love them, or you hate them. But probably you love them. They're one of those really well. There's some of those really well loved books by the people that do love them. It wasn't just like, oh, it was a good book, it was all right. It's very deep and it's very profound. Both of them are very deep and very profound, and they cause you to think, and they cause you to expand your mind. And so, when I found out about this tool, I wanted to make it more I wanted to make these books more accessible for modern readers.
So
and so I started.
I understand correctly that you first you found out about the tool, that it exists, Midjourney, and then you came up with the idea of doing the book. So was this the first thing you did with Midjourney, or you tried around a little bit and checked it out, and then afterwards you said, hey, I can do a book with this?
It was, I was having so much fun with it. I was just looking for excuses to play with it, right?
Yeah.
I'm making vampire pictures and whatever else, they look, sometimes they're screwed up and sometimes they're great, and that's just what you get, right? Oh, look at his face. Oh, that's crazy, right? But I started shifting my thinking to, okay, well, I've got a lot of free time right now because I'm not working much, and maybe I can make something out of this, The nice thing about, these older books is that they don't really go out of style, People are going to be reading Star Maker for another 50 years, probably, So they're part of my library now. And everybody can go onto Amazon or PayHip and Google now. I got them back up. They gave me a hard time, but I fixed all that. Because these are public domain books.
Okay, so you didn't have any problems with the copywriting?
No, it was perfectly, everything was above board. And I was in touch with Amazon during the whole process of getting it approved and everything like that. If I was going to get roadblocked everywhere selling it and saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to do this,
okay.
But yeah, they're public domain books, which means you don't make much money selling them, but
Okay, but the copyright is now on your side, or?
Yeah, well, the copyright is on the art. You can copyright the art. Yeah, I can't copyright the text.
Okay, but the copyright from Midjourney is now to you, right? Is that correct?
Oh, I see what you mean. So my understanding is that you can't actually copyright unaltered artificial intelligence art legally. Reason being is that it wasn't created by a human being. Now I've altered the art by putting the text on it. So, now I can copyright that. And if you make any kind of adjustment to it, then it's technically, you can copyright it, because, but as far as unaltered AI, right now there's kind of I would say, a legal loophole for, you can't copyright artificial intelligence art. Midjourney is fine with it. It's in their terms and services that you can use it for this type of part. Just sign up for the service.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you pay your monthly fee, then you can use it also for NFTs, as far as I understood.
Yeah. So it's it's like that. I finally finished Last and First Man and released it 9 days ago, and had the big release. And I'll be working on, actually, I believe I can announce it now. I'm going to be working on Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno, the
Divine
movie.
Yeah, not the video game. Yeah,
cool.
No, and actually, what I'm doing with this is, I don't consider myself much of an artist or anything else, but I'm a very good writer. I'm rewriting all 33 cantos.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, because I looked through all the various translations that were available. Obviously, some of them are copyright, because they were done within the last 8 years or whatever like that. And, I just wasn't satisfied with any of them. Either they were difficult to read because they didn't rhyme and have the meter and stuff like that. So I'm rewriting all the cantos. I've got 2.5 done. I just started. It takes me about a day to do one. but I'm putting in the meter and the rhythm and the rhyming and using the original rhyming scheme. And then I'm going to illustrate it with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, this is so great. So now if you're a writer, you can skip the graphic design department and just go and put your own creativity into it. Huh?
I would say that there's a real profound value to that. Back starting in 2011, I was looking for a band to perform in, right? Music band. Mm-hmm. And I checked with some local rock bands in the Seattle area where I was living at the time. And, nothing ever really worked out. There was always little differences or, I just didn't have a lot of self-confidence and stuff at the time, and eventually I started doing electronic music because I could just do it all by myself. And I didn't need to worry about having other people. And, every time you add a tool to a production process that removes this is very controversial, I guess, but it removes the need to interact with one more person. Even though those people are losing out, I think there's a greater opportunity for creativity in the world. There's no way in the world I would have ever been able to conscript an artist to do, 700, 1,500 pages of art, not even sketches.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot is happening in this space. I also talked to photographers, and they're now doing the backgrounds in Midjourney and then taking the picture. So it's first you take the picture and then they make the background for it. So that the process is much more slimmer and less complicated.
Yeah.
So so you say you don't have any background in graphic design or anything like this?
No, I'm a terrible artist.
I wouldn't say so. No. We saw before short the two images of the cover pages. Maybe we can show them again. And those are the two books that you created with Midjourney. If I look now on slide 2, do you have them open, the slides? Yeah, on slide 2, I can see that there's like this man and the forest. Let me go to slide 2 so now everybody can see it. There's this forest and this man, and then if you look up, there's like this red sun. And when I looked at this, I wondered, how did you manage to get the man inside there? For me, that was like something I couldn't figure out with Midjourney. Was it like a coincidence, or did you find the hack?
This is the most boring answer possible. Totally, it was all Midjourney.
Huh?
I didn't put that there on purpose at all. It showed up there, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, okay, but it's an interesting way that you create images, and then you get inspiration from what comes back from the AI. So it basically, you don't have to exactly tell her what to do or tell him. It's a he, she. Tell the AI what to do, and then based on the feedback, you can use it or not. So you can like generate multiple images, if I understand this correctly.
Yeah.
So for example, for this image, do you remember roughly how many times did you try to get something that fits your purposes?
Probably 1 or 2.
1 or 2, okay, so it's pretty fast process.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to do the whole book, or the first one?
Well, my processes were not completely defined. I have a tendency to learn as little as I can about something before starting it. Just jump right in. So Last and First Men, despite being twice as long, took me about the same amount of actual work time to complete. It took me about a month to do each of the books. Even though, like I said, Last and First Men was a much longer book, but my processes were just much more streamlined the second time around, and they'll be much more streamlined the third time around, for whatever comes next.
Yeah, makes sense, totally. So another thing that I was wondering when I looked at the images is it has all the images have a sort of a same style. So they look like they have a certain texture, a way of painting, a way of having the people, the person, the characters. They look a little bit similar, or not similar, but like in the same world, the same view. Is that something that happened by chance, or did you think about that, or is it something that came up and then you figured out how to recall this style?
I'm about to give you the most boring answer in the world.
Again.
So part of the reason that I stuck with Midjourney in the first place was because of this art style. Now, Midjourney has like a default art style. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to make a photo, you can tell it to make a photo. But if you just tell it to do something, it's going to actually look like this. So it has kind of a default art style that it goes to if you're not telling it to use a particular type of camera or whatever, So the reason that I picked Midjourney was because I really liked that style and it seemed like it really fit the book. I also have Stable Diffusion installed on my computer. That was how I made that picture of me that looks like an athlete.
You did that one with Stable Diffusion.
Yeah, I did it just at the time that you were messaging me about it, actually. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll make something real quick for him. And, I look like a football player, but real life, obviously not. Stable Diffusion doesn't seem to have this type of default style. And I think that was a great idea on the part of Midjourney to put in this artistic style as kind of being the default, because, without it, it would have just, I'd have been making pictures that look like photos and pictures that look like schematic drawings and whatever else without really, being able to jump in with both feet and get started right away on something that looked really cool and really artistic. So I think it's great for beginners, if they want to tool around with something, as long as you know how to use Discord, which is
it's only on Discord, right? Midjourney.
I think they've updated it to have a web interface now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I have to check that.
Midjourney has gone through a lot of changes, and the interesting thing about it is that I created Star Maker a month and a half ago, and I finished Last and First Men, 10 days ago, right? Or released it anyway, whatever. And, ever since then, since I started working on Star Maker, they've released a completely new version of Midjourney that's much better. If I'd have gotten started on this project 2 months later, the book might look entirely different. Now, I'm very satisfied with it and all of that, but Midjourney version 4's ability to reproduce photographic, pretty much stuff that looks real, is unparalleled. I've never seen anything like it. And this stuff is moving so fast.
Yeah, I also noticed it's moving so fast. I saw some images from Midjourney 4, I think. So is that for the last version? I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did they do that? It looks like from a CGI movie. It's incredible.
Yeah. Except one person's got a funny finger, 6 fingers or something.
On those images, no, but I think they made them hide the hands. That they made them. Also, something that I couldn't figure out how to do is to make Midjourney to create a dolphin. That was impossible.
Dolphin.
Yeah,
really.
I tried so hard.
I'll give it a try when I read my subscription.
That should be a challenge.
I gotta finish writing all these cantos first, and then I'll probably renew my subscription for 1 more month.
Yeah, so that brings me to the next question, which is basically, how did you, you said already a little bit how you learned, but did you also make some research and found some way of prompting special things? Did you use parameters, or did you just use default text and then look what comes back?
Oh, yeah, and I was learning more along the way. Some of the way through the book, it's like, oh, well, using a low angle shot actually makes it really good, especially for city scenes and stuff like that, So I was just improving on the way, but starting from page 1, it looks pretty nice anyway. And I was satisfied with the results. Mm-hmm. The Last and First Men was more difficult to do because there was more specific action. Star Maker, the reason I picked Star Maker to work on it first was because it was like almost like a visual tour of the universe. Well, that's pretty easy to make.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to have characters, and you don't have to have, you know, people doing specific things, you know. And then after I was done with Star Maker, I felt confident enough to try Last and First Man. So I was learning, you know, throughout the process. I didn't spend much time studying because I was just having too much fun.
Yeah.
You know?
So to make, I mean, I also noticed to make some images that are landscape or crazy worlds, it's not so complicated. I mean, it comes back with some cool stuff by itself. But
Yeah.
as soon as you want something to happen, like you said, like an action figure doing something, or something's happening, or someone holding a sword or something like this, it gets really much more complicated. Did you find like a tweak how to make it do that, or do you just need more prompts to try out?
There was a lot of dice rolling, so to speak. Like, for instance, you mentioned this picture number here down here with the two kids.
Yeah, let's go there.
That was, I basically just, I think I used the same prompt for that one. And then just the way Midjourney works, you might know this, is you put in the prompt and then it gives you 4 tiny thumbnails. And I probably grabbed 2 of those thumbnails. And I mean, I don't remember because I was doing so many of them, but I feel like I put in the same prompt, and then I like this thumbnail and this thumbnail, and I'll just make it a split panel. So to answer your question.
But one is black and white and the other one is colored. So did you have to do a post-production, or was it just random?
That was just the way it came out. Sometimes it will throw you a black and white picture, or it'll throw you, you know,
oh, really?
Something that looks, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's black and white pictures in Last and First Men, you know, during some of the war scenes and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, they were just the perfect mood. Or sometimes it throws like a black and white, but with the color red still.
Yeah.
You know, like that artistic style look. And so, I mean, it's really, you know, got a lot of, you know, surprising amount of artistry for, you know, for a tool. And that was only version 3 that I was working on. The new one's even better. I mean, I can't wait to get started on that one
again. Wow. Yeah, I figured out there is a command, I don't remember, a parameter that you can put in, which randomizes it, makes the, gives it more room for interpretation to the AI. So it goes much more crazy. I forgot what the command
Dash
was.
S, I think.
Huh?
I think it's Dash S. And you put in some number, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a number between
25,000 or something.
Yeah, exactly that one.
Yeah.
So did you also play with that, or did you just leave it in default?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, I had to try that. I had to try different things. You know, if I bashed on it a couple of times and I wasn't satisfied with the results, I would just try something else.
Okay.
You know, I would try some different prompts. I would try some different, you know, settings and stuff like that. You know, and it's so fast that when you pay for the service, it's fast enough to where, you know, it's not an unreasonable approach to take.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I also play around. I had some, as I told you before, like the dolphin was for me impossible to make. I also tried to make a Christmas tree out of pellets, these wooden pellets. No chance. It did anything, everything, but not that. Did you also play around with DALL-E and Stable Diffusion? I think you mentioned this, but did you also try to make images for your book, or was it clear from the beginning, oh, it's going to be Midjourney and that's it?
Well, because I wanted a consistent art style, and after I finished Star Maker, after that I decided to do Last and First Man. I wasn't really sure, saying, oh, are people going to like this, you know? So, and after I decided to do Last and First Man, I was like, well, I should just keep the same art style because it's, you know, I'm going to be probably using Stable Diffusion for Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy Inferno. I'll probably be using Stable Diffusion for that because I don't think I'm going to be putting quite so much art into it because I'm doing all this work writing.
So, and I understood this correctly. So basically the only post-production that you did from is the text overlay. It's not,
pretty much.
You didn't change anything. You didn't Photoshop and took some stuff out or anything like this?
I mean, if I felt like it, I'd add a little, you know, saturation or burn or something like that to it, you know, pop the contrast a little bit, but I wasn't really doing much of that.
Okay, but the images that came back are basically the ones that you have in the book. Okay, yeah. Wow, this is really incredible. It's really incredible.
I did have to do a lot of work on that text, though. That was a lot of work.
Thanks.
That was actually, my God, how much time was that? It was probably a week just doing the text.
Yeah.
Because I went and put the text in with, I was using Comic Life Pro
Yeah.
to make the panels and everything like that. And, you know, there's a couple of different settings, and it's not the best program I've ever seen, you know, no offense, but it's not. And it would either make transparent panels or opaque panels. And, you know, the opaque panels took up too much real estate on the screen. I wanted people to be able to look at, you know, wow, that's the world. That's not the world in a text box, you know. So I went back and I used the transparent, but then the transparent panels were often not visible enough. So I had to go and hand shade every single one. And there's no artificial intelligence to help me with that. So there's probably a more efficient solution, and I just didn't know what it was.
And so did you do this in Photoshop, or how did you?
Yeah, so I dumped the images to, you know, from Midjourney, and put them into Comic Life 3 and made the panels and the text and everything there, then exported the images to Photoshop, and I did the touch-ups there.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
It was people got mad at me on Reddit because, you know, some people were, all you did was take and put a bunch of text into I'm like, no, this was a lot of work, dude.
Yeah, at the same time, you were the first one. So I think that was an important thing to achieve also. I mean, not everybody can say I'm the first one publishing a book with AI.
That's true. And I was actually, I was surprised to find out that it was not the first fully illustrated novel in this style. I had to go and revise some of my claims after I found out that somebody had done, a big team of artists, by the way, had done a comic book version of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? You know, the movie that Blade Runner was the book that Blade Runner was based off of. And now Star Maker is much longer, and Last and First Mention much longer yet, so I still have that. But there were a couple of instances of fully illustrated books like this, but this was definitely the first one done with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I mean, of course, you also got a lot of attention and a lot of PR coverage. So I found you through an article, I think, on some newspaper somewhere. How did this, what happened there? How did it affect you? Did something change, or?
Oh, nothing changed.
Nothing changed. All the same.
I'm still the same person. Yeah, no, I mean, this book hasn't exactly been selling gangbusters. I mean, this is not Harry Potter, right? It's a very specific product, and it's for a very specific audience, you know. So if it sells if each of these books sold one copy a day for the rest of my life, that'd be great, you know. So
we will said that they're still, people will still read them until into 50 years. So yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's reading my book anymore that I wrote. You know, I don't know that anybody read it in the first place, but people will still be reading Star Maker and Last and First Men and going on, you know, however long. So, you know, like I said, it's kind of a library piece, I guess. And I was happy to do it, and happy to, because a lot of people were just thrilled about it. You know, the people that weren't angry at me for using artificial intelligence art said, "Oh, this is amazing," you know. So mixed reactions, I guess, but mostly positive.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. So did you also think about the future, what you're going to do? Are you going to keep doing this type of things also with maybe newer technology that's coming along? Like maybe you're going to be a movie producer with AI?
I doubt that. I would like to, I mean, I'd like to build my skills up and, you know, and, you know, make this some kind of a business, you know, making these types of things. They don't all have to be public domain, and they don't all have to be, you know, like as, for instance, Inferno, because I'm going to be rewriting the text, you know, that one's going to be my copyright, you know, and it's a lot easier to get your books on you know, these major services, you know. So, but that's still a library piece because people are still going to be reading Inferno.
Yeah.
They might be like, wow, holy smokes, look at this. Some maniac rewrote the whole thing plus illustrated.
So it's actually fair to say that now through AI and Midjourney, it kind of like inspired you again to write more or not?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, yes, I could have rewritten. That's a good question, actually. I could have rewritten Inferno if I wanted to, right? But I didn't have a real reason to because who would buy it, right? But with the artificial intelligence art, that's kind of an interesting tie-in that I can also do. And it's not very difficult for me to do. And I think both of those together might be, might make it interesting, just like Star Maker and Last of the First Men were interesting to, some people. So, and then also the other reason I wanted to do it is just to say that I did it.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I wrote 4,000 lines of poetry all over again,
Yeah, and yeah, I'm very interested to see what's coming out. With the new Midjourney, you think you're going to also adapt new styles with the new version, or you're going to keep the same style that you had until now?
No, I would have to change it up. First off, the technology is there, and I should be improving my skills. I shouldn't be just sitting on this. Second off, I think it's one thing if both of Stapleton's books look the same, but I don't think it would be a good idea to have all the books look the same.
Yeah.
This type of art style. I'll probably end up I'm split between Midjourney and Stable Diffusion because both are very good. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I actually made that in Stable Diffusion on my computer. And the only thing that's goofy about it is my finger is all messed up. But,
okay. I'll check
but
it out.
It looks exactly like me, though. It was great because I trained it to make my face.
Also, the profile image.
Yeah.
That's in Stable Diffusion.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it's an image. I didn't realize.
And it looks exactly like a photograph, or almost exactly like a photograph. The color's a little too perfect, but other than that,
Yeah, it looks like it's a very well edited image.
Yeah, no, it was just I did that in a minute, and I was like, wow, So, but yeah, we'll see what I do. But I'm not decided yet. But I am excited to try the new Midjourney, and I am excited to not have to pay for it too at the same time. So, so I might end up using Stable Diffusion anyway.
Yeah, and how is it with the copyright? If you're now using Stable Diffusion, which is open source, and you run it on your server, then it's yours, right?
Yeah.
Nobody
it's just a program. You set it up and install it. They give it to you for free.
You can give it a name and then also get licenses for.
I wouldn't want to cheat the system. They've done me a lot of good.
So if someone wants to buy your book, where can they find out more about you and where can they find the book? I have a link which is Payship. But I couldn't find it on Amazon. I think you sent me the links, right? We're going to put them into the descriptions.
Yeah. So Amazon, you have to look for them on the Kindle store because these are not. Oh, actually, this is a good question. I should have brought this up. People ask if they can get a printed version. You can't. It's too big.
Okay.
If I priced it out, it would cost $250 to print.
Okay.
Print on demand. So I'm not going to set that up. Unless somebody comes at me with a Kickstarter and 1,000 people, all signed up for it already. But I just launched a website. It's thevisualseries.com.
Thevisualseries.com. Okay. We're going to put this afterwards in the comments.
Yeah, that'd be super. And it's got the links to the books there and the blog, and I should write into the blog because, SEO. Well, you know all about that. You're a marketing guy.
Yeah. Yes, it's cool. I'm looking forward to this. Then, yeah, maybe we're almost done. Do you have something that you want to share, like a special, something that you figure out that you wouldn't have thought before while using AI? Did you did it become a friend?
No, but that's good because I need a worker instead. So I would say that, I'm generally, at least mostly up to date on on new technology. Now, I'm not buying the latest Xboxes or anything like that, but when there's some technology, I'm usually familiar with it enough to have a working knowledge of how to use it and blah blah blah, right? Social media doesn't confuse me like it confuses my dad or whatever, right?
Mm.
Artificial intelligence, I've never seen anything move this quickly, not once. The quality of the art has gotten better in the last 6 months by so much, so it's really exciting. Hopefully somebody out there is also inspired to do something, unique. It doesn't have to be a book. That can be my gimmick, but hopefully it gives people an opportunity to be creative where they wouldn't have been able to before. And I know a lot of artists are mad about it, and I understand. Being a musician, artificial intelligence is coming from music next. So
Yes, definitely.
at least I don't make any money off of that, so I don't have to feel it in the pocketbook. But it's here, and you're going to have to deal with it one way or the other, And at the very least, Star Maker is a book that never would have gotten made without, or my version of Star Maker is a version of the book that never would have gotten made without artificial intelligence. So I guess a lot of times that people think they might be losing work, they didn't lose any work because there was no work to be had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I understand that.
So
yeah, but also it's important to embrace new technologies and see how you can adapt it to do stuff. So for me, if I look at photography, for example, I think it's even good if you don't have to you have to run around taking pictures of hotel lobbies, if you can now tell Midjourney to create a perfect hotel lobby. So this kind of jobs are not so interesting anyway. So maybe you need to get more creative and do new stuff that the AI can't do, or use the AI as a complementary addition to what you're doing in your daily job. So
yeah, it does. To me, I think that art is, in this case, it will help, kind of ease your mind in the transition. If you look at the art that is produced here is generally a commodity, as opposed to a piece of art, right? It's, whether, no matter how good it looks, it wasn't done by a human being, and it was created for a purpose and for a product, right? So,
not sure.
So,
not sure if this is always the case. I mean, I can imagine that also the thoughts of a poem, if you write a poem, for example, it's also art. And at the same time, if you write a poem and then you have an AI translate this into an image, it can be art without having to be a product. Or
well, I think what I meant by that is that I think that a lot of the uses for it are going to be largely commercial, and the people that want to do art, well, I mean, this is commercial, right? So the people that want to do art for art's sake are still going to be able to do it. There's nothing preventing you from, just because everybody's got a camera phone doesn't mean you can't go buy a good quality camera and take good quality pictures yourself. That didn't change anything. And, at the end of the day, I don't think artificial intelligence will prevent people from doing art. I think it will prevent some people from making money on it.
Yeah.
But it's, that's what, when the camera was invented, the portrait painters were quite angry about that.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And then when Photoshop came out, the real painters were angry about that. There's always going to be something. So,
totally agree. I agree with that. Yes, and next on the 25th of November, we're going to have our workshop together in the Metaverse Academy, where we're going to do this workshop around text to image with AI. We're going to use Midjourney, I guess. I hope. We're going to look into that.
We can use Midjourney.
So for everyone that's watching and is interested in to look and get your hands into this AI and prompting and figure out how this works and what can be done, please go to this website on metaverseacademy.ch, and then you can see where it's going to happen, where it's going to be. You can also look for it on what is called Eventbrite. You can search there for this text-to-image AI workshop, and you will find it. You can get a ticket. If you are from the Metaverse Academy, you get a ticket for free, so you could just reach out to me. And this was basically, until next time, this was it. I'm very, very happy to have talked to you, Kevin. It was very interesting.
Likewise.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to the workshop with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to preparing it with you actually too. So
cool. Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Curriculum together.
Very interesting topic, I think, and I'm been watching this very carefully, how it's developing also in the technological side. It's just advancing very quickly.
Super.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to me. I had a good time.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye now.